In this video, we're going to be talking about FNAF AR for the third time. I've made 2 other videos on this game, but I keep coming back to it because my opinions on the game keep changing. First it was hate, then it was indifference, then I kinda liked it, and now I'm moving back towards the just dislike side of things, which is probably what you're going to do to this video, but hey, that really just tells YouTube that this video covers topical drama and that they should recommend it to more people. So I mean, whether you like it or dislike it, I win in the end, because that's my master plan. But yeah, the reason I keep covering this is just because there's so much to talk about, and the game keeps changing, and because of that, my opinions do too. Because there's just continued to be bad signs around the game, and I feel like I do need to continue to talk about it until they do manage to fix the game, because more and more people are becoming unhappy with it, and it's something that needs to be talked about. But first,
only a small percentage of my viewers are actually subscribed. If you want to see more, consider subscribing.
it's free and you can always unsubscribe later. It's weird, I've noticed a weird parallel between Steel Wool, the developers of FNAF VR and soon-to-be Security Breach, and Lumix, the developers of FNAF AR. Steel Wool makes incredible games. I feel like most people agree that their games are some of the best in the series, both FNAF VR and what Security Breach is looking to be. But their marketing leaves a lot to be desired. There's very few teasers, and the trailers come out very close to the actual game's release. Not much time to actually think about what we're getting. Security Breach has been a lot better, but it was this way for FNAF VR. Again, Security Breach has not had this problem at all, but it was noticeable very much so before FNAF VR released. Illumix, on the other hand, their marketing is great. The teasers we got for this game were incredible, the trailer looked amazing, basically everything we got leading up to this game was amazing, except the game itself. It seems like they're basically polar opposites. Steel Wool makes their games great, Illumix makes their games less than great, in my opinion. Steel Wool's advertising is not the best, Illumix's is fantastic. And I know, like I've mentioned this before, marketing is meant to make a product look better than it really is. That's just kind of the way that works. But that doesn't change the fact that the contrast between the trailer for this game and the gameplay itself is very, very different. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. Sure, it can look different from the trailer and still be a good game. The problem is that the gameplay actually really does not have that much to it. For most of the animatronics, about half of them, you basically just have to spin around, shock them, maybe flash your light, even though that doesn't actually have any effect on gameplay. Flashing your light, in this game at least, literally is just like raising the brightness on your phone. So the gameplay is very simple. Now again, this could be a good thing. Simple gameplay has been a staple of the series since it began. We've always had simple gameplay. The problem is that there's not much depth behind it. Sure, there's been other things added to the gameplay as well for different animatronics. Some of them maybe you have a mask. Some of them maybe you act differently depending on, I don't know, the eye color of the animatronics. But it's all still very simple, and Illumix hasn't branched out all that much. Especially compared to other AR games like Minecraft Earth, which actually kind of utilizes the mechanics it's given, the space it's given, AR technology to make it an interesting game that still feels like Minecraft, but is a different experience. I don't blame this game for not being scary. I feel like most people kind of agree that the game isn't all that scary either, but that's okay because it's AR, it's not going to be ironically as immersive. I feel because of that, if you're trying to get a scary experience, that's okay, I can deal with that. That's not Illumix's fault. The fault is that the gameplay itself is just kinda lacking. Now, as I mentioned in my second video on this topic, I need to stop. The gameplay was getting better. They actually added some really cool technology into the game for robots like Shadow Bonnie. Now, he could actually hide behind some real-world objects, which is something that's never been seen in AR before. That's really cool. They didn't add it for any of the other animatronics, but they did it for him, so that was neat. And they added Plush Trap, which We've been waiting for him since release, and a year after release we got him, and that was really cool. You weren't just like using your camera this time around, you could actually hold your phone and you could see a different environment around you, which is something that's really cool, and the gameplay was basically entirely different. You have actual places that you need to look, you have objectives that you need to solve other than just shock the animatronic. You have a goal here, and you need to switch your gaze between two different points because Plushtrap is there, and the thing you need to operate on is there, the exact opposite direction, and it makes for an interesting and kind of intense experience, which is just super cool, and I think everyone liked this. But again, that was the last we got, and now it's been months later with nothing new again. Very few new characters, even. We get tons of skins, and most of them are pretty cool, but no new characters, and some of the skins even are feeling a bit lazy at this point. Microtransactions are everywhere in this game, which I won't blame on Lumix again, because that's something that kind of just all mobile games have, especially the free ones. It's not ideal, it's not a good thing, but it's not Illumix only, it's a bunch of different companies that do this. So it's not something I can really pin on them. What I can pin on them, however, is the photo booth mode, which was just kind of garbage. They added the photo booth, right? And there was a lot of backlash surrounding it. It was literally something I could make in this very editing app in about 5 seconds, as I'm doing right now. That was the photo booth mode. It is a animation of an animatronic over your screen, and you had to pay for it. It didn't even come with the app. You had to shell out the big bucks for it, like half the things in this app. They did change this, and the one thing I can say about Illumix is, when we say we don't like something, they do seem to want to change it, and they do. They made Photo Booth actually really incredible, and it's now a lot of people's favorite feature of the game. It went from down here to up here, and now it's actually kind of amazing, and that's really cool, and I appreciate that they went and actually fixed it. That's neat. But the fact that they thought they could get away with this in the first place is just kind of sad. And I mean, the game is just full of glitches, crash-inducing bugs that they just cannot seem to fix. The game has gotten more broken over time, with more crash reports filing up over time than when it was originally released. That's probably because the game gets more complicated, but with the amount of bugs we have now, it's not good. And yeah, this is all pretty bad, but this isn't where Illumix as a company's bad conduct ends. They've actually been pretty mean, not just to their customers and with how they handle developing this app, but to the people they work with as well. I kind of always was wondering where they came from. This is their only game. Ever. It always has been, as far as I can tell, unless they did like some really well rebranding job, because I can't find anything on them. They literally just seem to pop up one day. That's not to say they don't know what they're doing. They do. They've made some cool stuff. It's just a bit shady. What was weird is when they started completely ignoring certain customer service emails, and even went so far as to completely ghost the voice actor for Ballora. Yeah, Ballora's voice actor was originally going to be in this game, but they literally just stopped contacting her. And nobody knows why. This, again, isn't the end. I saw a conversation on Reddit the other day. I'll put it on the screen so you know. This is where things get really interesting. Quote, "It doesn't help that Illumix is under fire for showing unprofessional behavior after Michelle Moss revealed that they bailed on her. That's why Ballora doesn't have a voice in the game. There's more, but some of this I can't share here." Wait, there are more controversies and even ones that can't be discussed here? That's definitely curious. Some of the controversies weren't public but were taken care of ages ago. A few were sparse in between, that only a certain few know in some groups. Some of this is head-scratching, others are really bad that the subreddit would ban if this got out, and for a good reason. It's not something that would lead to the company getting shut down, but it's just borderline unprofessionalism that has not improved even after the worst parts of 2020. Sadly, that seems to be the case. I've seen how they tend to purposefully ignore problems to the point where it feels like they pretend that they never existed. Like that one week where the trading system was broken, along with how the Plushtrap plush suit seemed to be broken compared to the rest. A real shame, honestly. Dude, I thought it was just more controversies, but now that sounds very serious. Honestly, I hope you don't mind me asking. But do you know where I can find more info about the topic? I don't think DMing you to ask you questions would be polite or appropriate, especially since I don't want to waste your time. I'm not up for talking about what went down, and one of them is so bad that I could get in trouble if I talk about it on here or even in private. I can't trust you with this information. Though the blame is on Illumix, I too feel responsible for this. It's a long story. So, there's even more here we don't know that only a few select people actually know about. Which, I mean, it sounds obvious that we don't know all the stuff they've done, but like, come on. Ultimately, I know no one likes to hear criticism of their favorite games, but it is important sometimes when it seems like people are stepping out of line, like things could be done better. And I know I've talked about this a bunch, but I do think it's important to get out there. And I do hope that Illumix does better, and that this series can go on and do better. It seems like it will. Steel Wool is just doing their thing, doing great. I just hope Illumix does the same thing. That's all I want to see happen. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you soon.